23rd August. The patient has once more escaped. Renfield artfully waited until the attendant came in to inspect, and then he dashed up past. Again, we followed into the grounds of the deserted complex. And this time, as we got close to him, when he saw me, he became furious. But had not the attendant, he would have tried to kill me. And then suddenly he grew calm. He caught the patient's eye and tried to follow him. He traced nothing. The moonlight sky, except a big bat. Seemed to be flapping in silent ghostly ways to the west. That's usually real enough. And this one seemed to go straight on as if it knew where it was going but had some intentions of its own.
You needn't tie me. I should go quietly.
He came back to the house without any comment. There's something ominous in his calm, and I shall not forget this night.
29th September. I was so absorbed in that wonderful diary of Jonathan Harker, and that other of his wife, that I let the time run on without thinking. Mrs. Harker was not down when the maid came to announce dinner.
So I said, she is possibly tired of the dinner waiting up, and I went back to work. I had just finished Mrs. Harker's diary when she came in. Her eyes were flushed as though she could cry. I greatly fear I distressed you.
Oh no, not distressed me, but I have been more touched than I can say by your grief. That is a wonderful machine, but it is cruelly true. It told me in its very tones the anguish of your heart. See, I tried to be useful. I copied out the words on my typewriter.
No one need know, shall never know.
Oh, but they must.
Must, but why?
Because it is part of the terrible story. A part of poor Lucy's death and all that led to it. Because in the terrible struggle we have before us to rid the earth of this awful monster, we must have all the knowledge and all the help which we can get.
You shall do as you like, Mina. Come, dinner is ready. There are still terrible things that you know.
After dinner, we returned to Dr. Seward's study, where I learned the facts about Lucy's death and all that followed. My brain was all in a whirl, and only that there came from the multitude of horrors the holy ray of life that my dear Lucy was at last at peace. It was all so wild and mysterious and strange that, had I not known about Jonathan's experience in Transylvania, I could not have believed. Let me write this all out now. We must be ready for Dr. Van Helsing when he comes.
30th September. Harker arrived about 9 o'clock. He is uncommonly clever and full of energy. If his diary be true, also a man of great nerve.
30th September. I'm so glad that I can hardly contain myself. That is, I suppose, the reaction from the haunting fear that this terrible affair might act detrimentally on Jonathan. The effort has, however, done him good. He was never so strong, never so resolute, never so full of volcanic energy as at present. We've got everything in order for tonight. I feel myself quite wildly with excitement. I suppose we're not to pity anything as hunted as the Count. Later, Lord Godalming and Mr. Morris arrived earlier than expected. I told them, as best I could, that I had read all the papers and diaries, and that my husband and I, having typewritten them, had just finished putting them in order. I gave them each a copy to read in the library.
Did you write all of this, Mrs. Harker? I don't quite see the drift of it, but you people are all so good and kind, and have been working so earnestly that all I can do is accept your ideas blindfold and try to help you. Besides, I know you loved my Lucy.
I loved dear Lucy, and I know what she was to you, and what you were to her. She and I were like sisters. Now she's gone. Will you let me be like a sister to you in your trouble?
I know.
For all that you have said of him in your diary interests me so much.
She looked so pretty and appealing, I could hardly refuse her. When I came into the room, I told the man that a lady would like to see him, to which he simply answered,
Why?
she's going through the house and wants to see everyone in.
Oh, very well. Let her in, by all means. But wait just a minute till I tidy up the place.
His method of tidying was peculiar. He simply swallowed all his flies and spiders.
Let the lady come in. can't be, for she's quite dead.
Oh, no, I have a husband of my own, to whom I was married before I ever saw Dr. Seward, or he me. I am Mrs. Harker.
Then what are you doing here?
My husband and I are on a visit with Dr. Seward.
Then don't stay.
Why not?
I used to fancy that life was a positive and perpetual entity, and that by consuming a multitude of living things, no matter how low in the scale of creation, one might prolong life. At times, I held this belief so.
The old captain has proven this, so he can do all these things, and yet he is not free. No, his powers cease as all evil things do in the coming of the dead. He cannot enter a room at first unless bid in by a member of household, and then he can come as he pleases. So, how can we strive to destroy him? We have our strengths. Yes, there are many things which afflict him, so he has no power. We have the garlic. We all know of the garlic. And there are sacred things, such as the symbol, a crucifix. Oh, many other things. There's the branch of wild rose. You put on coffin, he cannot move. And then we have the sacred bullet. The sacred bullet, you shoot into coffin, he threw dead. We know of the stake, which we can pierce through him, and then cut off his head. That gives him rest. So, if we could keep him in his coffin, we can destroy him. But he is very clever. So, we must settle now what we do. What say you?
Whilst he was speaking, Jonathan reached out his hand to me. He had so much when I saw that the appalling nature of our danger was overcoming him. Oh, it was like life to me to feel its touch. So strong, so self-reliant, so resolute. A brave man's hand can speak for itself. It does not even need a woman's love to hear its music. When the professor had done speaking, my husband looked in my eyes, and I in his. And there was no need for speaking between us.
I answered for Mina and myself.
Dr. Seward simply nodded.
You can count me out already.
I pledge myself.
The professor stood up, and after